Okay, so Zoom room's up. Thank you guys for having your stuff away while I show you some of these blending tools that are going to be helpful for combining your creatures in more believable fashions. And there's two big ones that I want to show off today, the patch tool and the clone stamp tool. We've already experienced a little bit of the clone stamp tool with the duck horse, but I'm going to give you another breakdown of it and how you can use it in this case, as well as the patch tool, which is a new one that I haven't explored too much, but is really useful because it does some cool stuff that I'm going to show you here in just a sec. So I'm going to open up Photoshop. I do not have a pair of creatures vectorized, or not vectorized, masked out. So I'm going to do we'll do a house cat. So I just need a picture of a house real quick. Thank you. All right, so let me just, sorry, I thought I had my stuff saved. Let me get, I can save this image to my OneDrive like per normal. All right. We are going to pretend that I got these pictures from Unsplash, and I'm going to have you guys do as I say and not as I do, so that usually you want to use Unsplash. You don't technically have to, but it just is the easiest way to get things that you won't have to worry about. Trying to find the highest quality is my favorite part about Unsplash. You don't have to worry about the legality of it, which is not something we're particularly concerned with. But okay, so I'm making a house cat real quick, is my combo animal here. So let's imagine I have my, let me open up my cat real quick. Sorry, guys. I was not as prepared as I thought. Where is the cat? Show me. There it is. Okay, so I've got this cat, and I'm going to take my selection tool and mask it out, which is what we were doing. What we were doing yesterday. Let me get a little bit of the ears in there as best I can. Unlock that background, mask it out. I've got some extra stuff going on in here. We're going to get rid of these fingers by painting with black. I'll get that doored in just a second. You don't have to worry about it. So because this picture has the fingers covering the ears, I can't mask my way out of that information. The pixels have to be there. We can use, I'm against using AI to fix this patch. We'll just pretend that I picked a good image for the time being. I have my cat here. I'm going to Control C that whole mask layer. Control V that over to the house. It is quite a bit larger than I thought. I'm going to scale it down so that we can start seeing how these two things could merge together. All right, so I'm going to unlock my house background. Let me just mask this guy real quick so we can use the clone stamp tool, or we can use the patch tool to start combining these two things together. So I'm just catching up with you guys at this point. Oops, that is far too much. Too many ants. So if you hold Alt with your keyboard, you can see the plus turn to a minus, and that will push when you click and drag while holding Alt. It pushes the line of ants. It pushes the cutout line back in a direction. Instead of expanding the selection, it subtracts from the selection. So we're going to mask that out. I have my house. I have my cat. I'm looking at how I'm going to combine these two together. And I want to start by trying to match the color as best I can. So to match the color, there should be something on your toolbar that looks like this little band-aid with like a cutout on the left half side there. If you click and hold on that, come on, let me click and hold on. There we go. You should get access to this patch tool right here. And alternatively, you can press J and bring up the patch tool. So the way the patch tool works, it's got this little like crochet quilt square kind of icon that attaches to your cursor. When you draw an area with the patch tool, so for example, I have the pixels on my cat selected, not my mask. So my mask only has black and white pixels. It's just doing the mask stuff because it's linked. On my cat, if I click and draw a circle, it's going to automatically connect back and turn it into a line of ants. Now, when I drag this circle, you can see it's going to sample whatever that circle is hovering over. So in this case, it's kind of eyes and nose. If I go past this, you can see it's seeing through the mask right? There's our hand again. Those pixels are not gone, they're just covered up. All right. So if I were to, let's say, blend a little bit of color on these two, when I let go of my mouse and then hit enter, it's really subtle because it's kind of the same color. Control D to deselect. But the patch tool is going to try to match the colors along this edge here as best it can. So we can use the patch tool to do is make a selection on one layer. Let me undo this extra. I forgot the Marvel character that has like the face. Maybe it's Krang. Anyway, I'm going to make a selection on my house. Draw out some patch on my house layer. I'm going to go back to my cat layer. I'm going to click and drag. And it should start blending some cat with some house here when I let go. Let's see what happens. Nope, that's not what I need. Okay. So if I pull this down onto the cat layer, come on. It's not doing what I need it to do. What you could do, this is more useful for if your colors or your creatures are the same or a much closer color with one another. The orange and the white of the house is making it a little more challenging for Photoshop to make a best guess on what I want out of it, which is fine. The patch tool is exactly that. It's a patch. It's a quick fix that, you know, when you draw a selection and then pull the little magnifying glass over, once you let go, it's going to try and match the pixels around it as best it can, right? But that, as we're seeing already, is getting stuck on one specific layer. It's not able to jump across like the tool I'm about to show you is. So if you click on your bottom layer and then you enable your clone stamp tool, which is S on your keyboard, it is the little like rubber shunk kind of stamp tool looking guy right about here. And the way this works, it has two main halves to clone stamping. First, you have to have a layer selected. And then next, you have to hold Alt on your keyboard. You see when I hold Alt, it turns into a little target, into a little highlighter sort of situation. Wherever I click, wherever I hold Alt and click, is going to set my sample point of my pixels. Okay? So if I hold Alt and click down here on some of the orange fur chest skin, you can see that it's going to take that little ghost of the image wherever I sampled. So if I hover right around here, it should fit in pretty normally. Wherever I sampled, it's going to see the little plus sign when I click down. When I click, it's going to go back a certain amount of distance to wherever I sampled with the Alt key. And so why is this useful? It's because we can go to our background layer, our house layer, hold Alt and set the target around the pixels where our images are overlapping, right? This is going to be the closest region for them to blend their two separate colors, okay? So I'm holding Alt and setting a target on my house layer. Then I'm going to switch to my cat's pixel layer, the one with the actual image on it, not the mask. And now when I click, it's going to start to bring that house information onto my cat's face a little bit here. But if I were to try to paint over here, look what happens. You see how the plus or the cursor is sampling only a little bit of distance on the layer behind it? It's because every time you want to, if I want to pull information from here, this is point number one, right? If I want to pull information from here down to here, point number two, I need to resample every time I'm on my cat layer, okay? By holding Alt and clicking over here and then clicking this distance, you can see that the plus sign is going to pull from there, but I'm on the, let me switch to my cat layer. There we go. So now you can start to see wherever that plus sign is, it's going to bring a copy or a clone of those pixels to where you click. Hopefully that's making sense. And the reason that you would do that, the reason you would switch between these pixel layers like I'm doing here, is you want to go back and forth between the two images you're trying to blend and just kind of blur this line, blur this hard edge by blending the colors together. So, for example, I want to keep more of my cat's forehead here. So I'm going to Control Z a few more times until that goes away. You can also click this button right here, which is the history panel right next to the color window. That allows you to time travel. So I can scroll through all these undos and we'll go right about here until it looks good. All right, so my thought process is I'm going to blend a little bit of the house over and then a little bit of the cat over. I specifically want to keep this like shuttered window part of the house because I think it'd be funny to have it on like the cat's forehead, like it's going into the cat's brain or something. So I'm gonna hold Alt on my house pixel layer, click to select a target, and then I'm going to start just kind of stamping that information back. Oops, I gotta switch to my cat layer. I'm just gonna start kind of stamping some of that information back in. All right. And you want to click frequently because you want to have the ability to go back and undo if you need to. So you can see it's starting to make some weird sort of overlapping with the original house. Might have already done the pixel adjustments on accident there. Okay. But the clone stamp tool, if I wanted the shutter or the, what is this called? The roof edge, the gutter right here. If I wanted the gutter to kind of overlap with some of the cat's features right here, I could hold Alt, click on the mask or the house layer, go back to my cat, and I can just start to blend some of that gutter into the other side here. Switch back to my house, back to my cat, click, 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 click. All right. It's not perfect, but it is a way that you can start blending your images together with a little bit more believability, a little bit more, I mean, this isn't exactly realistic, but it does make it look a little bit more together as if it could be maybe the cat's wearing this house like a knight helmet or something, like a Spartan helmet with the armor coming down in that way, like a hat. So clone stamp is going to be a lot easier. Well, it's not easier, but it's going to give you results that are much more obvious because these were clone stamp tools right here. But the patch tool, if you're trying to quickly blend some part of your image with another, specifically like a hard edge like this, it's going to work. I forgot to select a layer. Patch tool will work well in that regard. By clicking and dragging a little selection wherever you pull it off to, once you let go, it's going to try and match the pixels as best it can. So today I want you guys to experiment with some of these tools, these two tools, the patch tool and the clone stamp tool. You also want to be thinking about, let me pull up the actual thread here. You want to be thinking about how you're going to add more detail to your actual scene because you need to have a little bit of photoshopping in the background as well. So this was yesterday's Zoom room. I'll put today's Zoom room up behind it. We're moving towards this direction now. We've got our creature, or we're kind of in the day 2, day 3, day 4 half of our work period. So we got a background made. We're looking for an end result like something like this. So not only is it the animal blended with a background, you've got some additional things like these planets in the scene as well. Because it's surreal, it doesn't really have to make sense. You do want to still do good photoshopping though, to prove that you have the technical skill. The artistic skill is up to you. That is going to be whatever you think is funny or whatever you think fits well with the scene. That choice is yours. And I can help you narrow it down if you're feeling stuck. But this is what I want ultimately, that we're going to finish up by Tuesday, the 28th of next week. Make sense? I'll put some more resources that explain the blending methods in your thread for the day or your agenda for the day. But if we go back to first period and you go to yesterday's reply or Tuesday's replies, I mean, in Tuesday's replies, you've got these 2 tips for color matching, some more mask help, and a trick that will help you blend the color a little bit better without using patch tool or clone stamp tool. So you have the rest of this period to work. You'll have a lot of time tomorrow to work. Yeah. You should be pretty finished with the animal combo by the end of today and start thinking about what kind of landscape you want to put your hybrid creature on. Sweet. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. You have about half an hour to work on these.